Well, post the chaos on MP's suspension from Parliament, Rajasthan's Member of Parliament Hanuman Bemiwal has commented on TMC MP Kalyan Banerjee mimicking Vice President Dhankhar. Let's listen into his shocking Aarti Utaro insult.
उसका काफी हंगामा ना कुछ वो सिर्फ बीजेपी के लोग उनसे करवा रहे हैं ताकि जाटों के किसानों के वोट ले लें, लेकिन उससे कोई वोट नहीं देना पड़ा। वो लोकसभा के अंदर अगर राज्यसभा में किसी को सस्पेंड करेंगे तो मजाक ही बनाएगा क्या, उसकी आरती थोड़ी उतारेगा जिसको करेंगे। आप ही बता दो मुझे, उनमें भी तो गुस्सा होता होगा ना। और ऐसा मुझे नहीं लगा उसमें ऐसा क्या था उस वीडियो में, मैंने देखा वीडियो तो उनकी इंटेंशन ऐसा नहीं था। पश्चिम बंगाल के जो सांसद जिस तरह की नकल उतार रहा था तो वहाँ तो हमारे समाज के लोग ही नहीं पश्चिम बंगाल कम संख्या है, तो मुझे नहीं लगता कि इससे। लेकिन बीजेपी के लोग उनसे कहलवा रहे हैं कि ऐसी बात बोलो ताकि जाट और किसान हमें वोट दें। वो टूल है उनके, टूल मात्र है। उपराष्ट्रपति, राष्ट्रपति सब।
All right, let's also listen into how the MPs reacted to Mr. Bemiwal's comments.
हनुमान बेनीवाल ने कहा है जगदीप धनखड़ की मिमिक्री ना करें तो क्या उनकी आरती उतारें, क्या कहेंगे?
हनुमान बेलीवाल जी का दिमाग खसक गया और इस तरह के टिप्पणी करना मैं समझता हूँ कि अत्यंत ही दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है और देश कभी इन लोगों को माफ़ नहीं करेगी। और ख़ासतौर पर जहाँ से ये आ रहे हैं, ये समाज को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं, उसी समाज के हैं। पता चल जाएगा इनको आने वाले वक्त में। अभी तो एक पना है ना, आने वाले समय में जीरो पर आ जाए। ये लोकतांत्रिक व्यवस्थाओं का जो धज्जियाँ उड़ाई जा रही है और लोकतंत्र में संवैधानिक पद पर बैठा हुआ उपराष्ट्रपति और सदन का सभापति, आज तक इस तरह के माहौल मैंने अपने जीवन काल में नहीं देखा है। और माहौल बना रहे हैं, उसको लोग अप्रूव कर रहे हैं। मैं समझता हूँ कि कभी भी इनको माफ़ नहीं करेगी। जो जाट समुदाय के लोग हैं, किसान समुदाय से लोग हैं, अपने आप को नेता मानते हैं, इनको हाशिए पर।
हमारे साथ बातचीत करने के लिए बीएसपी सांसद मल्लुक नागर हैं। मल्लुक जी, इस बार शीतकालीन सत्र का कैसा अनुभव रहा?
देखिए, एक तो जो पिछले दिनों घटना घटी तो वो बहुत ही दर्दनाक थी, पीड़ादायक थी। एक बार तो लगा कि ज़िंदगी बचने की नहीं है, मौत नज़दीक से निकली, लेकिन बाद में पता लगा कि वो उग्रवादी नहीं थे। लेकिन घटना बहुत ख़राब थी और उग्रवादियों की ऐसी घटना देख करके कि देश की संसद में, भारत की संसद में घुसा जा सकता है, उनकी हिम्मत बढ़ेगी। और जो अलगाववादी ताकतें, जो विदेशी ताकतें हमारे देश को कमज़ोर करना चाहती हैं, उनकी भी हिम्मत बढ़ेगी। घटना बहुत ही गलत थी। सिक्योरिटी में ज़रूर अपग्रेडेशन की ज़रूरत है, जिससे दोबारा ज़िंदगी में ऐसी घटना ना घटे। और जो इस 17वीं लोकसभा जो करीब 2019 से 2024 तक चला, इसमें 2-2.5 साल कोरोना में निकल गए, 4 सत्र पिछले लड़ाई झगड़े में निकल गए। तो अभी भी जो संसद में रुकावटें आ रही थी, आखिर में आकर के पार हुई और सारे जो अपने बिल थे वो पास हुए और देश हित और जनहित में हुए। लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं हल्के से कसक है। अगर विपक्ष पूरा अंदर होता तो बड़े खुशी से सारी चीज़ें आज विदाई हो रही होती, आज सब अपने अपने घर जा रहे होते। क्योंकि जो 18वीं लोकसभा जब चालू होगी उससे पहले केवल फरवरी में एक छोटा सा जरूर चलेगा, नहीं तो ये समझो आखिरी सत्र ही था ये। तो पर जो काम काफ़ी पेंडिंग था, हालांकि पूरा हुआ। और बाबा अंबेडकर साहब ने जो संविधान लिखा और उस संविधानिक ढांचे के अंदर जो संसदीय परंपराओं पे ज़रूर हल्का सा डॉट लगता है जब विपक्ष बाहर होता है या ऐसी घटना जो घटी पिछले दिनों, ऐसी कोई घटना घटती है।
हाँ मल्लुक जी, इसी परिप्रेक्ष्य में हनुमान बेनीवाल ने कहा है कि जगदीप धनखड़ की मिमिक्री ना करें तो क्या आरती उतारें?
देखिए, सबकी अपनी अपनी सोच है, अपनी अपनी विचारधारा है, अपनी अपनी व्यक्तित्व देने की अपनी आज़ादी है। मैं इसको ऐसा नहीं मानता। मैं इसको मानता हूँ कि जो लोग सस्पेंड हुए वो बहुत गंभीर मुद्दे पे अंदर जो चर्चा कराना चाहते थे या अंदर जो लड़ाई झगड़ा होकर के जो गंभीर एक घटना घटी, इतने लोग बाहर आए क्योंकि संसद में जो हमला हुआ और उसमें जो घटना घटी वो बहुत ही गंभीर घटना थी। तुम अंदर से इतनी गंभीर बातों को लेके आ रहे हो और दरवाजे पे बैठ के मिमिक्री कर रहे हो, तो कहीं ना कहीं ये ठीक नहीं लगता और ये यहाँ पे ठीक नहीं है। हर जगह की अलग अलग जगहें होती हैं, अलग अलग समय होते हैं। कहीं पे मिमिक्री भी अच्छी लगती है, कहीं पे नाटक भी अच्छे लगते हैं, कहीं पे फिल्म भी अच्छी लगती हैं, लेकिन ये जगह जो संविधान बाबा साहब ने लिखा, एक संसद के गेट पे संसद होती है। देश के लिए काम करें, देश के लोगों के लिए काम करें।
चलिए, आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
All right, let's talk about this with Mr. Raman Malik, BJP spokesperson. Sujata Paul, Congress spokesperson, also joins us on the program. Sumit Peer, senior political commentator, with us on the broadcast, is here as well. Last but not the least, Mr. Himanshu Bhatt, senior journalist, joins us on the show as well. Well, Sujata Paul ji, I'll begin with you. We know what both the sides are contesting and saying at this point in time. 100 plus member of parliaments are outside. There are bound to be frustrations, and that's exactly what the opposition has said, that this was done out of frustration. The Vice President was insulted on the premises, on the grounds of the parliament, and the central government, and of course the NDA has taken grave offence to it. And some of the people, like we just heard, some other member of parliaments also saying ki if we are not going to vent out our frustration, to kya hum aarti utarenge kya? Do you think there is perhaps a more reasonable way for the opposition to approach this? Or perhaps, I'm going to ask, the BJP spokesperson the same question as well. But what are your thoughts?
Vineet, I think that it is the government's responsibility to run the house, and they have failed miserably at it. But I think this is also a part of a larger plan that Pradhan Mantri ji did not want, or maybe the Home Minister did not want to present the criminal amendment bills with the opposition present, probably because he's scared. I don't know what the problem is, but it could be one of the reasons. When you talk about what has happened, what happens in public life is you have to look at it differently. It is not a classroom that you're talking about. You're not sitting inside a house. You're in public life. And there are things which are bound to be said. If you remember, Miss Meera Kumar, she was made fun of a number of times, and it was on prime time shows on various news channels that I remember watching her being made a joke out of because of the way she spoke or the way her mannerisms were. So I think that the Honorable Vice President should have had a larger heart. Instead of getting into this thing, he should be talking about what is happening inside the parliament. It is being made out to be a very big issue when you talk about the parliamentarians entering the well with placards in their hands. But considering the fact that they faced something which could have resulted in a heart attack also of someone. It is possible, isn't it? Luckily, there was nothing untoward happened the day these intruders walked into Lok Sabha, jumped around on the desk, and thankfully that didn't happen. But if Hanuman Beniwal ji just said what he did, he's also a Jat leader. Satpal Malik ji is also a Jat leader, and he was made the Honorable Governor of 3 different states. When Article 370 was abrogated, he was the Governor of Jammu and Kashmir. He said so many things at that time. He has said so many things now, and what he has been saying regularly is that the Prime Minister had inputs on Pulwama. So, when you are in public life, you have to listen to all this. And this is a democracy. Everybody has the right to freedom of speech. Of course, nobody should be made fun of, but it happens in public life. Come on, there are much larger issues. What if these 146 MPs were inside and a proper argument could have taken place on the criminal amendment bills? It would probably have resulted in a much better act which could have been brought in. The concerns of the opposition could have been put to rest or could have been considered and made part of the new act, but that didn't happen. So it is a sad day for all of us as Indians.
Sumit Peer, what do you make of this impasse that's existing between, of course, the member of parliaments who are sitting out? 3 were in fact taken out today as well, Sumit Peer. Over 100 earlier on. Their frustration is likely to find some sort of a vent, and it's come out on the Vice President, which is, of course, not admissible. It's not forthright in any manner, but in a democracy there is to be a balance between what the opposition also has to say when it comes to passage of bills, is what the opposition is contending, and that is also the nature of a democracy. Sumit?
You see, Vineet, the onus of running the parliament lies with the ruling party and the opposition both. It's not either or. So if opposition is really seriously interested, and they should have, control their thoughts, control their emotions, and we're more interested in, having the bills passed. As a matter of fact, they choose to create.
But Sumit, they say that there's no debate happening. They are not being allowed a debate.
You have to be in the parliament. If you get suspended and if you create ruckus, then the debates cannot happen outside the parliament. Yesterday, what we saw, this MP of Trinamool Congress was making fun of Dhankhar. Dhankhar is a constitutional post, right? Vice President of India is not neither from Congress nor from India. It's a constitutional post. President is a constitutional post. So when you are making fun of Dhankhar, you are making the fun of a constitutional entity of India. It's beyond the party. So you are making, and incidentally, he's a Jat leader. That's the second issue. Secondly, what I found out again, Mr. Rahul Gandhi was there and he was filming the whole thing. I mean, there are videos available everywhere. So if this is the kind of response what you are getting, then you cannot complain that, okay, why are we not being let in? Why this bill has not been discussed with us? If you are really interested, you could have raised your protest. You could have done whatever you had to do, but you should be a part of the proceeding of the House. But on the top of that, you chose not to be part of the House. You chose to be standing there, and then you chose to be making fun. And Mr. Gandhi was standing there and making a video of it. It's on the ANI, everybody can see it. So the point here is that if this is your intent and intention towards the parliament, if this is the intention of a Sansad to Sansad, then we are really worried, because this is not what it should have happened. Yes, there was a security breach. I'm not denying that. That has to be looked into, of all the people who are involved. Hang them if the law permits. So I'm not denying that. But the problem is you cannot stall the proceedings of the House. You cannot make fun of the constitutional post. You cannot let business not to run. And how much time have we have? Next session, February, a few days possibly. So these all important legislations have to be passed. And if you look at what Mr. Amit Shah told yesterday when he was passing these legislations, responding to Mr. Owaisi and some other members of the parliament, he made his stand clear. Why people are rattled with this bill? Like trial in absentia. A lot of people are not happy. Now, people who are hiding in Pakistan, who are hiding in Canada, who are hiding in UK and UK and elsewhere, it doesn't matter. Within 90 days, they don't come. They will, the court will start the proceedings. Now, we are not pleading guilty one after one. Let's say there are 25 accusers. First one, then second one. For 10 years, the cases will not start. And then there was a famous thing of, Tariq pe Tariq. Even that is now put to hold. So a lot of things have been curtailed, which is for the good of the country, which is for the law and in order to function effectively. And as responsible MPs from whichever party you are, it is your onus, because your people have given you a mandate to do that and say your say. Now, if you want to create an issue and miss these all things, this is a call you take. And on the top of that, when you're out of the parliament, you should at least get into some positive or constructive deliberations or discussions, rather than you're making mimicry of it. If this is what the MPs are doing of the opposition, Vineet, it's a very sad state of affairs. And remember, Dhankhar is not a BJP leader. He is a constitutional head. He's a constitutional post, president and the vice president of constitutional entities.
Right.
They are not from party or anything. So what are you doing really? Let
me take a response from Mr. Raman Malik as well. Mr. Malik, when Rahul Gandhi was asked about this, he said that, don't get stuck on this mimicry. There are larger issues at play over here. You're picking out something which is trivial. It does not really convey the problem that the parliament has been facing. These are unprecedented times. There's no opposition in the southern. Sir, I can't hear you.
Now, is that audible?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Vineet, I hope I am listened to, and if people get rattled, they do not misbehave. First of all, yes, there are larger issues. And we have seen the larger issue a few years back when a certain member of press had taken the name of Antonio Maino and he was put behind bars, picked up. His channel was shut down. It was tried to, the neck of the channel was tried to picked out and, break the neck like a chicken. So that we should not forget. We should not forget that the same leaders who talk about Jat Asmita Satpal Malik and the gangs or Yashpal Malik or the others are silent today, तो वो अंदर का जाट कहाँ मर गया पता नहीं. See, when the history of the parliament has shown that political identities have had debates from Pandit Nehru onwards till even Modi ji, there have been various comments and various things which are thrown by the opposition and the opposition throws on the treasury, which is never made into such an issue. This issue is different because it is the constitutional post. You have to understand that the President of India, the Vice President of India, the Chief Justices of India, the Army of India is not compromised, is not debatable. It is not a debatable commodity for trivial political battles. These are not trivial articles to be thrown into political issues. Furthermore, you must not forget that we have an irresponsible opposition. The opposition knew very well that various bills are going to be tabled into the parliament. It is not something like Mr. Amit Shah took out a hat and a pigeon comes out. No. The bills are there, the businesses are there, and the opposition knew. So rather than to debate, they run away, they create issues. Every debate, they either abstain, run away, or create ruckus. Because the interest of anti-India forces are being curtailed. They always serve the interest of Bharat Todo gang, Tukde gangs, and they've been very good in accepting them in their offices now. No wonder. It is the tyranny of the opposition that is happening. Debate has to happen, Vineet. But debate cannot happen without people wanting to debate.
Absolutely.
You are fighting.
Yeah. Okay.
And last but not the least, a lot of time, our friends from the Ghamandiya Gathbandhan, the ... alliance, comes up and gives the example of Japan running a train for a child so that the child can go to school. You remember that incident and that issue being thrown at us.
I remember, sir. So we do have a paucity of time. Let me quickly get in Mr. Himanshu Bhatt also to comment on the situation. I'll come back to you after I get a response from Sujata Paul on what you have said as well. Himanshu Bhatt ji, it is also the responsibility of the opposition, to present themselves and debate in such a way that it doesn't warrant, their ouster. But do you think that's what's happened?
The black band.
Mr. Bhatt?
Yeah, the voices were overlapping.
Go on.
I couldn't get the question. What was you asking about?
Sir, I just asked you a question. I'm saying, whatever happened with the opposition, how much of a responsibility is it on them as well?
Quite a bit. Quite a bit. Here the larger issue is, it's a fight between the two lines of thinking. There is one Bharat Jodo, Bharat Todo. Yes, Rahul Gandhi said very clearly, it's a larger issue there. Yes, there is a larger issue. There is a larger issue of Bharat, which certain people don't seem to understand. And it was not the case, that the session was called and probably the entire agenda is generally given to all MPs. They had the entire agenda. They knew that these criminal bills are going to come up. But they fell into the trap. As a journalist, if I speak, when I say, they fell into the trap of the ruling party. And then they want to mock a constitutional post. Then this is what happens. See, these things are very, very clear here. People are starting to understand what's happening. This is the same pattern which is being repeated election after election. 3, 4, 5 months before election, they will come out all guns blazing on the media, in the studios. We will do this, we will do that. This has happened to us, that has happened to us. The moment the results come up, they shut up. And restarts again. This is what is happening. And that's why, certain things were very much necessary for Bharat. Not for 1860 bills, criminal procedure codes of 1860. We don't need them today.
Okay. All right. Let me get a response from Sujata Paulji as well on what Mr. Raman Malik also said. Sujata ji.
First of all, let me congratulate you on your panel today, Mr. Vineet Malhotra. Amazing panel. Yes, because everybody has found problems with the opposition. It is the government who is running, the BJP who is running the government. And who has trivialized the issue? I can understand Mr. Raman Malik putting his point of view across as the opposition being in the wrong spot. But amazing how Bharat Jodo, Bharat Todo are being used by other panelists. But let me also make it very clear that last Monday, there was no business advisory meeting. So get that straight. Secondly, when you talk about what Amit Shah was saying, I just heard Mr. Sumit Peer, he said he was passing these legislations. That's exactly what Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah have done. And what an irony that you think that if the government is, creating a trap into which they want the opposition to fall in, then it is ironical that journalists can't speak up but say that it is a trap of the government in which the opposition has fallen. But not once will you question our government how these laws are being passed, how these bills are being passed, and there is no opposition over there. Well, it is not the opposition which is irresponsible, it is the government which is not just irresponsible but dictatorial. Pradhan Mantri Narendra Modi has been going to town talking about Congress Mukta Bharat. Now, obviously, he sees a united opposition. So, what he did was made the Sansad Vipaksh Mukt. And of course, somebody just gave an example of Tariq, but Tariq will go away. And yes, you will give us a Tariq and say, ek din mein thoda hi ho jayega. Abhi to purane cases chal rahe hain, just like the women's reservation bill. When you talk about Jat kaha mar gaya, what language is that? We are talking about people. At least our language should not go down into the dumps. When the Vice President begins to talk about issues where he is playing the victim card, I think it doesn't behove of his office, because his office will always be important. His office will always be respected, no matter how much of dissent there might be, how much the people might not agree, because he should be non-partisan. He is supposed to be on a constitutional post. He belongs both to the opposition as well as to the government. But the way in which the opposition has been attacked, simply by looking at the number of opposition members who've been suspended, it is clear that that is not really happening. So there are larger issues, but do you think that intrusion was a smaller issue as compared to the way in which this has been trivialized by talking about Rahul Gandhi filming it? Do you think that the passing of the bills, enactment of new laws, amended laws but new, do you think that was more important, or the mimicry being done by Mr.
Okay,
Kalyan?
all right. Let's take a response. Yeah. Let's take a response from Sumit as well. Sumit, I agree with Sujata ji that the opposition needs to be a part of this entire process. Which is of course very astutely connected with the fabric of our democracy. The opposition has to be a part of this dialogue. They have to be a part of this entire machinery. If it happens without them, there is obviously something wrong here.
Vineet, first 2 or 3 quick points. First of all, Sujata ji admitted that the opposition fell in the trap of the government. I am borrowing her words. Now, if opposition is so incompetent, they are falling in the trap of the government again and again and again, then you have one leader of the opposition who wants to become the prime minister. You really need to reconcile your things. So things are drastically wrong at your end. Point number one. Point number two, look at the numbers we need. So even the opposition is pointed, it's not that the opposition was thrown out as per them, then the bills would have passed. Otherwise, if the opposition was not there, bills would have not passed. That's point number two. Point number three, even in the opposition, you have people like Asaduddin Owaisi and others who were there, and Mr. Amit Shah replied to anybody and everybody who raised a question and who was on the ground with facts, figures and data. Point number four, which is important, is there that, if you choose for this agenda of the session, you were given the session agenda. If you choose to make one issue such a big that you want to sacrifice the whole session, then the bills will be passed without you, because the bills are for the nation. Bills are for the 1.4 billion people who have voted this government into the power. The bill is to protect my interests, and I expect my Home Minister to pass the bill in this session. So if Mr. Rahul Gandhi chooses not to be a part of this, or somebody from TMC chooses not to be a part of this, that is their answer. Let them go back to their electorate and tell them we could not be a part of it because we were more interested in mimicry or more interested in creating fun, or it was a bright sunny day in Delhi, so we liked the dhoop outside. That's why we went there. These are their political preferences. How your political preferences can be my prerogative.
All right. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but I'm sure this debate has not seen the end of its course.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.